background filter on. So then we were all like messing around in the settings, and we did the whole Mystery Crate episode with different filters on, which obviously no one could see. Chris Cody had reindeer antlers on and like a little reindeer nose the whole time. And so when I logged back into Zoom this morning, it was still saved. So I still have it.
Billy, why did you just thrust your fist and make a disgusted? I can't see your face because you're wearing a mask, but were you disgusted there?
I didn't know. I don't know that it was me necessarily that started the whole thing. It doesn't sound like
it was you. Yeah, you're insecure about a light in the back of the room, so you were like live from the ocean.
Yeah, no, I was in space and then I became an alien. Yeah.
But it's not. None of this will be seen. Will it be even talked about?
I mean, we experienced it, right? Sometimes, Dan, life's just about experiencing things. You know, we don't need to share it. We don't need to put it on the social medias. It's just a shared experience amongst friends, and that's what we had yesterday. I was in space. I was an alien. Jess had a pink mustache. Whitty was in an old-timey TV. Roy didn't really want to participate. Yeah.
I was telling people, and no Stugotz today. We got a skeletal crew here. Greg Cody is in with us again. We're grateful for it. In fact, the original incarnation of the show was supposed to be with Greg Cody, not Stugotz. So always delighted when I get to do this with Greg Cody because it reminds me of what we were thinking about doing. But at the time, he couldn't and wouldn't do it because he wanted to be there for Chris Cody's high school baseball games. He wanted to be on the dugout announcing the games, and he didn't want to start his career because he wanted to choose family first. A terrible mistake by him in every respect. He could be gliding through the ocean. He should be gliding through the universe, making all of the Stugotz stolen money if he had chosen to take that job.
I thought you were going to laud me for my parental decision.
You should be lauded, Greg. I mean, that was a heartwarming anecdote.
Man, not really.
And that began my career behind a microphone, such as it is, by the way.
But the show that I've always wanted to do with Greg Cody and all of this stupidity that we're about to embark on feels a little bit like what it is that Billy's doing in the Zoom right now. I loved as much of the stuff that I loved about Freedom. I think my favorite thing of all of them, and there were a lot, it's a long list of those 24 hours that we did, was tuning in at 4 a.m. And Greg Cody is doing a show that clearly doesn't belong anywhere on television. It looks like it's from the 1980s. And his doctor, who may be a doctor or not a doctor, who was there to inspect his belly button, clearly was somewhere in Middle America in a room that had wood paneling on the wall. And what I was watching visually is what I would have made if I could have physically drawn it up and had that much creativity, because it was uproariously funny as something so incredibly amateur that began with Greg like fiddling around with his headset and like blurting an exasperated sigh into the microphone. I'm so tired after he was already on air.
Right. He was unnerved by the transition from the Cinephobe Hour into the Greg Cody show. But also, you're so right about all the guests. I've gone back and watched it a couple of times. Every guest seems like it's out of a sketch comedy show, both in terms of physical appearance, in terms of the background in their Zoom. It was pitch perfect, every bit of the Greg Cody Hour.
Well, my belly button doctor happened to be from Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis's hometown. And when he appeared on Zoom and we saw that wood panel background, it just could not have been any better. I was delighted.
And what I want to happen today is for us to have a viral moment. Billy, I don't know how much of a pain in the ass it is to keep that. What is that, an alien eyeball? You have a single eyeball in the middle of your face?
I do. I mean, it hurts, but I'll do it for the team, Dan.
Okay, so I'd like to see if we can get anything off the ground here today.
If you want, I can do it to Greg, and Greg, given his inability with technology, is not going to be able to turn it off. I can go in there and put a filter on Greg if you like.
Yeah, that's fine, because I don't need the video as much today with you guys here, and only Jessica's out. I've told you before, this is going to be a lot of weird shows over the next couple of months because we're mixing and matching and people are out and there are a lot of things happening before football season starts on what it is that we're building around here. Stugotz has got a bunch of vacation. I actually wish he were here today because I really don't understand what happened with his victory lap. He was going to be able to be, quote unquote, right about Chris Paul. I mean, it's just the worst victory lap ever. Just, hey, somebody who's one of the best ever, you're not good enough because you're not the very best. You got to be a little bit better. And it's the whole cruelty that there is in sports. Giannis, you're a bum. Even though I've never seen an extraterrestrial like you ever. You don't have a jumper. You can't do it like Kevin Durant does. And just yesterday, Max and Stephen A are having this dumb argument. Just dumb, where they're arguing. Stephen A is Kevin Durant is more gifted. And Max is, Giannis is just as efficient and therefore almost as good. And Stephen A comes back with, you're not on my level as a basketball analyst. What you're saying is asinine. And really what they're arguing about, look at what they're arguing about. Kevin Durant and Giannis, two human beings we've never seen in the sport, ever. This one's not quite as good as the other one. And you don't know anything about basketball because you're arguing about who's more effective, and I'm arguing about who's more skilled, who's a baller versus, who's got the most value. And it's just a stupid argument. So dumb.
Especially when you talk all the time about the appreciation of excellence. I thought it was really cool to hear yesterday in the aftermath of Giannis's finals win, people with the perspective to say, this is one of the greatest playoff performances we've ever seen. Even in an era where statistical accomplishments are a little bit kind of nibbled away at because of how many people are doing incredible statistical things. What Giannis did in Game 6 is one of the greatest things that we've ever seen. If you're talking about appreciating greatness, we should spend the whole day after just marveling at how the guy, as Amin has said many times, had a flamingo leg 2 weeks ago and is now an NBA champion, putting together one of the greatest finals ever.
I could get to yammering on this, but I don't want to ruin what it is that we're trying to do today. So I do want to talk about what Giannis just did, because I think, even though I was critical of how it is we arrived at the measurement at the end with so many bodies falling down. Look, man, I've been soured on some of the things happening in sports because like the dehumanization of throwing all those bodies that obviously through the grinder to get to the television dollars during a pandemic distorted the measurement. And so I am guilty for months now of being sort of indifferent about all of this because it's bothering me that we're doing these Tokyo Olympics and we're just being this irresponsible about getting to the money and the greed. And it distorted my enjoyment of the basketball, my own cynicism, my own anger, hostility, depression about what's happening in the world as China's subways flood with brown water. And I'm like, what the hell's happening? I come in here every day and I'm like, the world feels like it's falling apart. And I'm sure it's because I'm 50 and I'm sure it's because I'm old. But that dude stirred something in me with the visuals of everything that was happening at the end of that performance, where he's gone from Greece to a team that has only Brook Lopez as a lottery pick, as Harden and Kyrie and Kevin Durant are making you mad over here because it's like, wait, that's not fair. And LeBron and Wade and Bosh did, and you're like, that's not fair. He's on a team with Middleton. He tells you he's my closer, and he tells you the saddest day of my career is going to be when that dude retires. He's my closer. He's telling you Kevin Durant's better than me while playing against him. Kevin Durant's the best player in the world. He's humble at every turn. He's getting chicken after the game, nuggets, everybody's watching on IG, and it's like an innocence. This guy, muscled armor, and it's just beautiful to watch. He's got the trophy between his legs, and he's driving to the drive-thru to get 50 nuggets at Chick-fil-A. Super humble. At the end of the super team era, where it's like, these guys are getting together for a decade for player empowerment, he stays there. He's likable. You can criticize Chris Paul all you want, but that's what Chris Paul has to go through. Unprecedented extraterrestrial who's going to do it all at the rim in a game of now threes, all at the rim. He's Shaq. All of a sudden, wait a minute, Shaq is this? Like, look at DeAndre Ayton. Look at that skill set. Look at how athletic it is. Look at how it's not Giannis Antetokounmpo and can't do anything against Giannis Antetokounmpo. And now imagine that guy, DeAndre Ayton, having the skill set that Giannis has, because that's what you're witnessing. A guy who can play a little bit like Steph on the perimeter, even though he's not quite good enough to make all the threes, but can handle the ball in a way that allows him to cave in your defense, and is also Shaq. Let's criticize it. Let's bury it. Let's wonder what it doesn't have instead of examining how great it is, what it does. It's a cool story.
It's a fabulous story. Born of Nigerian parents, coming from Greece. What he did the other night in Game 6, I'm not prone to hyperbole, I don't think. I've covered sports a long time. That was one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. I expected the tail off in the second half. He keeps scoring and scoring. I'm like, all right, he's due for a lull now. He's due to go 6 minutes without scoring. And then he does something fabulous again. Another block, another rebound. In the paint, he was just unstoppable. They had no answer for him. He was so quick, nobody could stop him. It was phenomenal what he did.
But the half lemonade, half Sprite thing, that's weird, right?
Also, 50 nuggets is an extraordinary amount
many.
of nuggets.
It's too many. Yeah.
Nah, not really.
Yes,
I thought he got 50 chicken minis. Because that's way too many chicken minis.
even popcorn chicken 50 is too much, right? All jokes aside, because I know where this goes. Dan can eat 800 nuggets. How many nuggets do you guys think that you could actually eat? Seriously.
If we're trying to max out, if I'm just saying like I'm pigging out, I'm eating everything that I can in one sitting.
Yeah.
What's the time period, Billy? Because if it's a football
meal.
tailgate, 1,000.
You can't
If
eat
it's an
1,000
hour,
nuggets.
probably like
That's
15.
impossible.
Seems like an impossible.
All right, so
number.
you're having a meal, right? You go to Chick-fil-A and you basically get all you can eat nuggets. What do you think you can throw
But you
down?
want to live out the rest of your day, right? This isn't like, let me have like a glutton fest where I'm going to eat until I almost die. I need to have a meal. I'm going to go eat nuggets. How many can I have?
Billy, thank you. And I want all of us to address this question, and I'd like to find out what that number is and figure out a poll question. But we got the smiling pink mustache over here who hasn't learned some of the games as she moves from New York to Miami. She's a little too eager about eating a lot of nuggets. So we're going to, after we vet the nuggets and do whatever it is we have to avoid the pepper stuff, we're going to make her do this where she has to.
1,000 nuggets.
No, not 1,000,
I
but
said during a football tailgate.
not 1,000 nuggets, but we're going to see how many she thinks she can eat, and then we're going to see if she can eat those. And we've had a hospitalization. Billy's the only one around here who's been hospitalized with one of the challenges.
Yeah.
What was the onion experience? People think we were making that up.
Unpleasant.
People think we were making up the hospitalization, though.
But
it
what
was
did you get
real.
hospitalized with? Like what does an onion do to you?
So what happened was I was eating this onion against my will. I was eating this onion, and it was pretty unpleasant. And then there were a number of contributing factors that led to me starting to vomit. Dan started vomiting, and when someone starts vomiting, that's not good, and I start vomiting. And then Mike kept spraying Febreze like in the air, like right in front of me because the onion was
Ugh,
smelly.
That's the worst.
And I don't like the smell of Febreze. No offense, Febreze, but I just don't like the smell of it. So it was a combination of the puking sounds and the Febreze in my face. And then I just started vomiting a lot. And then the vomiting never stopped. And I became extremely dehydrated. And then apparently I had a kidney stone inside of me. And because there was no liquid inside of me anymore, it forced out the kidney stone.
Ouch.
Or it didn't force it, I guess, all the way out. It just forced it on its path. And then I went to the hospital because I was feeling very, very bad. And they said, you're going to stay here a couple days. And they gave me some IVs, and eventually it passed. And it was a whole to do. And then, $1,600 later, I was home.
A couple of questions
Bucket
here.
of death.
Because people, well, this is, I think, where the bucket of death might have actually died. I think that we
Oh,
stopped.
no, it lasted a couple more years after that. And I hated every moment of it. I was like, you know what? This has cost me enough money. I don't know that I'm in on this.
We need to figure out what it is that we're going to do with the bucket of death, because that's the way for us to have more of these viral moments where somebody has to be in costume while we're talking about something serious. We have to figure out how to do it. But I'm just learning now, Billy. I didn't know how bad that was. And I'm just learning now. And this is a Meadowlark problem going forward. There are liability issues. The bucket of death was almost actually a bucket of death that killed you.
Yes, it was. You think it's too late to put in an expense report to ESPN for that bill?
I think you should.
I would.
I think you should. I
kidding
think
me?
I think you absolutely should. It's not too late. You should send it in and let's see what the response is, because I didn't know any of that until right now. You should send them that bill as an expense and see what the response is to that.
Also, as a tactic, spraying Febreze on something is a bad idea, because you spray Febreze as a means of freshening a room. If you spray Febreze on something to try and limit its smell, it actually has a counterbalancing effect, which it just combines the smell, and all of a sudden you have Febreze and a bad smell together.
Too strong. Sometimes I kill
just-
ants with Febreze. Do you guys do that?
No.
Murder.
Well, I don't like the smell of bug spray, and then I get worried, well, what if I have, the same kind of things that bugs have, and this accidentally poisons me?
Wow, that's a slow, torturous death for those ants. But they smell good dying. I'll say that.
Billy, did the onion cause the kidney stone, or was it a coincidence? Because if it was just a coincidence, good luck getting that paid by ESPN.
No, it was dehydration that it caused me from all the vomiting. Yeah.
Maybe you could sue Disney.
Well, I don't think we're going to be doing that. Yeah. I mean, they have probably more powerful lawyers than any lawyer I would get, so I don't think Alex Hanna's going to take down Disney.
You could probably settle out of court for the cost of the medical expenses. Look, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just saying. Sounds like you have a case here.
Put these on the poll, please, at Levitard Show. As a tactic, is spraying Febreze a bad idea? And do you kill ants with Febreze? Yes or no? Greg Cody, please end this segment, and I hope all segments this show end this way with whatever it is you didn't get out on Johnny Carson at the end of David Sampson. I want to get all of this impersonation out there for everybody. And you said that you had more to the impersonation.
Well,
you were complaining that we ended the last segment without letting you fly free.
I should warn you, though, that my full version of Johnny Carson simply repeats the phrase, like almost added, like until you get annoyed. That is weird, wild stuff.
That seems exactly the same as the other one.
No, there were 3 additional I-ahs.
And one at the end.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah, a big difference. That was the deluxe version of Johnny Carson.
This is the mastermind you almost replaced Stugotz with.
So I'm sorry. It's my fault. We got off of the nuggets. 50 is too many. You can't eat 50 nuggets.
You think it's too many for an athlete of that size who's been eating disciplined all year?
He's
Because
been playing 45 minutes a game for 2 weeks.
he's been basically a furnace that needs coal. I'm thinking that he was dehydrated after that game. He had to leave. He was in so much pain after that game that he had to leave the press conference area for 30 minutes after weeping on the court, which is what I was saying I was loving about that moment.
Loved it.
You so rarely see. Does anyone out there, and this is so beautiful, as you see Texas and Oklahoma now are getting to the greedy money. They want to go to the SEC. Everyone realizes all of a sudden, wait a minute, the players are going to have the power. Okay, never mind. We're going to stop with this rah-rah tradition stuff. Woo! Here comes one conference. Let's go play at the most professional of our minor leagues. Like, it's ridiculous what they do to that conference if they leave it. They're the only reason that conference matters. Texas and Oklahoma. They go to the SEC. It's like the minor leagues. Wait a minute. The players are going to get the money. All right, we got to go here to the top. We got to all get our money too.
Maybe Oklahoma State can finally get to a big game where they don't lose at 58-0.
Yes.
It's a chance for Oklahoma State.
All right.
By the way, Alabama figured out paying players real quick, huh? Yeah. Bryce Young, $1 million.
That's what Nick Saban said. Almost $1 million for a quarterback who hasn't played. They will all look. You're about to, just like you saw during the pandemic, the greed laid bare where you've got the pack. You got the Pac-12s telling you. They're like, hey, we want to be paid for this. And then football rushes back. We all saw it, right? We all saw the greed on display. Oh, wait, these college kids, the television money and the commissioners and everything, they've been just splitting all that money and giving it to the coaches, and the players don't get any. And in the decade of player empowerment, the college players realize, well, wait a minute. We are funding this whole thing. And so now you got a quarterback at Alabama going to make $1 million before he's played, because it's all been laid bare. And now Alabama's got to keep up with everybody else, right? They've been ahead of everybody else doing it their way. Nick Saban wins the championship in Miami. On the plane home, he's drawing up plans on how it is that he needs a giant weight room and what are the big giant things that they could spend all the money they can get on, but the players can't get on. And now De'Aaron King is coming for the money, and you're talking about anarchy in college sports. But let's get back to the Nuggets and the furnace, because that's the coal at the bottom of the pipeline in the furnace. The highest of the pipeline is where Giannis exists, and it is a furnace that requires 50 nuggets of coal. And I'm guessing that's nothing. I'm guessing, Billy, that that's nothing for him. I'm guessing that he tells you that was just lunch. I could have done that at any point in the season if I didn't have to eat right before a game. But nobody questions how much that dude cares, is my point. As we talk about amateurism, and everyone is talking about the college game, fundamentals, like the pros don't care. Tell me when you question when that dude cares.
Oh, in that game, he convinced all of his doubters. I mean, it was phenomenal. But on the nugget thing, I peg him for 3 nuggets per bite, 3 at a time. So it's like 17 bites, really.
Oh, wow. Put that on the poll at Batard Show. Do you think Giannis eats more than 1 nugget at a time? Do you think he's shoveling the food in it? Like he's eating a bucket of nuggets in like 7 swipes?
To be fair to Greg, I mean, the Chick-fil-A nuggets are not that big. You could reasonably do it.
Yeah.
I think I could probably eat 3 in it. I wouldn't enjoy it. Like that's not how I eat food, but I think I could eat 3 nuggets at a time.
Look, I am trying to listen to this Instagram live while also listening to the show. Not easy to do, but I am fairly certain he ordered 50 chicken minis. I'm not willing to say with 100% certainty, but if they're 50 chicken minis, that is 3 times as amount 3 times the amount of food as 50 chicken nuggets. Almost got tripped up there, but I made it.
No, you got tripped up.
Yeah, you did. You
What's a
stumbled.
chicken mini?
It looks like a popcorn chicken to me.
No, a
50
chicken
popcorn-
mini. Okay, I'll
You just muted
I just
yourself.
muted myself. What
You're
am I
on
doing?
fire.
This mustache.
Fire.
This mustache is really screwing me
Really?
up today.
It's a goatee.
All
but
right,
that's
the
okay.
punishment for her is going to be she's going to have to do this eating challenge, even if it hospitalizes her, even if it causes a problem. Again with Skipper, which I really don't want to do. I really don't want to be poisoning the people around here with food challenges that haven't been properly vetted. But Billy, you think what should be the poll questions here, and you think what is the discussion here on how many nuggets is too many nuggets?
Well, now I'm going to be honest. I didn't know what a Chick-fil-A chicken mini was. So now I'm kind of looking that up, and Tony's trying to explain it to me. I think that it's somewhat between a nugget and popcorn chicken, right?
You guys don't know what a mini is?
No, I'm looking at a picture of the mini. It's almost like a mini chicken sandwich.
Right. It's like a slider, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, wait,
exactly.
It's a
50
chicken mini. It's the number one on their menu is like what they're famous for, and then the spicy chicken
Why are you
sandwich,
trying to
and
explain
this-
something by just shouting the name of it back at me? I
Yeah.
didn't know what it
Because
was.
it's a mini.
Just saying
It's
it's
a
a mini. It's a mini
It's
doesn't
a
provide
What
any
do you
clarity.
Think it's mini?
I
What
didn't
do you
know
think
what-
the mini is of? Like it's a mini because there's a maxi, and the maxi is the number one order deluxe.
Do they
That's
call
actually
that a
number
maxi?
2.
They
I've never
don't.
heard of Maxi before.
I've never heard of
No.
Maxi before.
That doesn't
Well,
make
it's a
sense.
mini of
completely
something
making it
because
up.
there's like there's like the mom and the baby, and then the mom is the number 2 deluxe, and then the baby is the mini.
And
But
if
it's
no
not called a
one-
maxi.
Max.
No, I was kind of making like a play on words, Whittingham. You
If-
should understand.
If no one
It's allowed.
orders the mini, does it become a maxi or just gets tossed?
Jessica, are you purposely channeling both Stugotz and Chris Cody today? Well, are you doing this on purpose? Are you trying to destroy the show from afar without any remorse? The punishment will be upon your return Monday. How many chicken minis is too many chicken minis? She said she could eat 1,000 of them during a tailgate. What are we going to put this, Billy? Where are we going to put this number at the challenge of what's acceptable number of minis for her to eat as punishment for destroying this segment in this show?
I don't think she could do 15.
Oh, I think she could. I put the over-under at 35.
The
Yeah.
bread is what
Look,
makes it
That's
difficult.
the thing. Now
That's
there's
what I'm
bread
saying.
involved.
I'm talking
There's
about
bread involved.
nuggets, not minis. 35.
In the minis, you
Oh,
need
for
to
the
put
love
a
of
little bit
God.
of sauce
Look,
on.
All right, we lost. No, this is what happens, though, Jessica. This is what happens when you disorient Greg Cody, which is what you guys just did with this Mixie and Maxi and nonsense. Basically, he's imagining a nugget, just one nugget, popcorn nugget, throw it in your mouth. Now, you guys are describing a sandwich, but it's not a Maxi sandwich. It's a mini sandwich. You guys are describing a slider.
Well, now hold on a second, because popcorn and nuggets are also very different, Dan. And don't get strips involved, because then this is an entirely different conversation.
Oh boy.
Are we doing fried nuggets or grilled nuggets?
What is
no
the
one does
number?
grilled
Fried.
nuggets.
Gotta be
Get
fried.
outta here.
Grilled
Oh
nuggets.
my god.
Fry power.
Get over
Wow.
yourself with
Grilled
grilled
nuggets.
nuggets.
Guillermo,
Trying to be
put
healthy.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo,
Grilled
at
nuggets.
Levitard Show. Is
Gruggets.
Fancy Lad an asshole for grilling his nuggets? At Levitard Show. That is the height of assholery right there.
Oh my
like you
God.
need to be healthy with the nuggets. You gotta.
I remember being excited when they introduced that menu item.
do you know
Of
how?
course
Do you
you
know
were.
They're
how
so
those?
good.
Do you know how those
grilled nuggets
chickens
are so
are
good.
tortured before you put it in your mouth? Whether it's going to kill you either way, whether you fry it or whether you grill it.
I've got another thing on Chick-fil-A, by the way. The commercial campaign is a cow encouraging you to eat more chicken. Yeah. Why is a cow's sanctity more valuable to Chick-fil-A than a chicken's? Why isn't there a reverse? A chicken doing a commercial, eat more cows. Why do we value the cow more than the chicken?
I think that's a good idea. I think that you should start. I think you should figure out that commercial campaign because it brings me back to this ESPN commercial that I saw today that I had not seen. What are you holding up to me there?
I had it written down. Get to the commercial that Roy might remember.
Yes, because I knew I was going to forget because I want to. Roy's got his own nugget story that goes from our past. What was that game we played with you, Roy?
Where in the world is Roy?
And what was the story? I don't remember any of it.
So we went to the McDonald's closest to the old radio station, and you put up about $200 worth of McDonald's McNuggets, so people can come around to the McDonald's and meet me, and they can get like free 10 packs of McNuggets, right? But only 10 people showed up. So what we're gonna do with those McNuggets? Oh, let's send them home with Roy. So I had just about, I would guess, 70, 80 McNuggets that I sent home. That I didn't eat.
Why wouldn't you just wait until someone got there and then buy them the nuggets? So
I was
warm
there.
nuggets.
I was there for 3 hours. Like the sun went down.
No, but like
What?
buy the nuggets
Yeah.
one person at a time. Like someone
As they
shows
get
up,
there.
then go and grab the nuggets and then send them on their way.
Well, that would take too much time. I had to go into.
Well,
the
clearly it
nuggets.
wouldn't because there's like 10 people that showed
Yeah,
up.
it
So,
would've
you
been
know, you
fine.
could have just been. Were you anticipating big demand for Where in the World Was Roy that day?
Well, usually a lot of people show up to meet me because usually we give out like tickets. You know?
Let's backtrack for a second, Roy, because if they killed the show already, Jessica and Cody, I need to kill it some more here because I feel like the way that you described this to everybody was a bit insufficient. This was one of the worst promotions we've ever done. We've had two great shame and embarrassments in the history of this show. One time we tried to go to a movie theater in Hialeah because we were feeling ourselves. We were able to fill
This is
out
a heat check promotion.
we were able to fill out any little movie theater anywhere in Miami. Our popular little radio show, Terrell Owens would come. We were popular. So we thought we could do it anywhere under any circumstances. And we went to Hialeah with David Sampson to rewatch the movie Let It Ride. And we thought thousands of people would come like to all our other events, but 9 did. And I was hiding behind a curtain.
There was an intangible though. It was raining really hard.
It was raining really hard,
Still.
but we thought hundreds and thousands of people would show up because they always do whenever we request them.
Right.
And they did not, neither to Let It Ride nor to this. Where in the world is Roy?
Roy.
So what were we trying to do? I don't remember any of this because Let It Ride left such a scar. Why were there only 10 people who came to get nuggets from you in 3 hours when we thought we were Miami's most popular radio show?
That's probably why we did it, because we were Miami's most popular radio show and we could do anything we wanted. I don't remember why we got the
Except
nuggets.
give away
though.
nuggets.
There was
Why-
also every now and again a promotion with McDonald's at the radio station. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some advertising involved here.
Why wouldn't you just, Roy, at a certain point, since you were there for 3 hours, just walk up to people who were like in line and be like, "Hey, you want some free chicken nuggets? Like, I have 200 of them. Like, I'd like to kind of."
Well, he wanted to take them home. See, Roy doesn't remember this story as a terrible failure, or it was one of the happiest days of his life. He was the centerpiece of a featured item, and he went home with a ton of free food. For how long were you eating nuggets, Roy?
About 4 days.
Happily.
Sure.
Of course.
You can't get a pink mustache off your face. And so he's distracted while telling a great story that's never been told on this show before about contraction. He's distracted.
He's giving us dirt about Major League Baseball, previously unheard dirt.
And you have been an epic failure at every turn today. And I need to understand whether you're going to get any better at this or whether this is going to get worse when you get down here, or are we going to kill you with these nuggets? That's,
trying to
I
go
need
out
to
with a
rephrase
bang.
that.
Trying to go out with a bang, like my last show, remote, Dan, trying to have fun, leaving New York, lived here 5 years, big deal, like big life change, trying to play it loose, have the little pink mustache on, goatee actually, thank you, Greg, knew you were going to say that.
Yep.
I don't know, I feel good today, I feel loose.
All right, we're excited to have you moving your entire existence to Miami, and I need to get to the conclusion of what this penalty is going to be and what the number of, and please stop doing this to Greg. It's just these little sandwiches, okay? I don't need them explained anymore. It's more than a popcorn nugget. How many of them does she need to eat? Because she's claiming she can eat 1,000 at a tailgate. How many does she need to eat to make it a suffering? And I enter these waters dangerously because the last time we did this, Kate Fagan was on the bathroom floor of the Clevelander and the CEO of the company was mad at me.
But also, that's the world's hottest pepper. We're just talking about Chick-fil-A minis, right? I don't think there's any danger inherent to a Chick-fil-A mini. Greg has written on a blue index card 35 over under.
I'd have under on that.
Is 35 too many, Jess? Do you
With
feel you
bread.
Definitely under.
with the bread? The bread is a variable
But
you're not
we're
considering.
going to do this when she gets down to Miami. We're going to order these, and she's going to do it in the back of the room during the show. How many is too many? Jessica, should we start with how many do you think you can eat?
In perfect conditions, I could probably eat about 25 chicken minis.
Now, I'd like to have you know that each mini is 90 calories.
It's a lot less than 1,000 also.
Well, I said 1,000 nugs. Then we
You-
started talking about minis.
Backtrack.
Those are two different things, Billy.
You can't eat 1,000 chicken
So are we
nuggets.
eating minis or nugs? Because that's different. And I said I could eat 1,000 nugs at a tailgate. Give me a time limit. I can tell you how many I think I could eat. If we're doing like 15
nugs.
minutes in the studio, I could do 25 minis.
You can't eat 1,000 anything.
Nobody can eat 1,000 nugs. Why are we calling
Nugs
them
are
nugs?
tiny, Greg.
I know. I've eaten a nug.
You could
Or
eat
two in
1,000
my time.
M&Ms.
That's still a lot.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Okay, we will see. See, this is what I want to do as a challenge because she thinks she can do some of these things. She might be the Stugotz and the Cody of delusional eating victories. Can you get me the song of Greg Cody, please, and some of his delusions? He loves when we play this around here for him because I need to get the music back in the show a little bit. We've got to figure out how to do this because Greg Cody's delusions have birthed a number of songs.
While you look for that, what would you say then, since you have all this confidence, what is your most impressive eating feat that you've accomplished?
2 Chipotle burritos in an hour.
Is that a lot?
I-
Are they really thick? Is that what it's there? Are they giant burritos?
They used to be. They used to give you like 2 cups of rice per burrito, and then if you got double meat, they'd give you double meat. But if you got like half chicken, half steak, then you'd get double meat without paying for double meat. That was always the trick, Dan. And then if you get guac, it's even bigger, so they'd have to double wrap them all.
One of the things that Jessica's doing here that is confusing us is, yes, Billy, you're not impressed at all by
It
2
doesn't
burritos,
sound
but I think
impressive
she
to me.
knows. I think she knows that the burritos are substantive, and she's got more knowledge here than we do about how hard. She thought that was impressive. You yawned.
Yeah.
Are you aware of what I like my size, Billy? Like
Yeah.
I'm.
It's
Like,
a
I feel
burrito,
like that's
though.
a factor.
They weigh
No.
10 pounds, those burritos. I've had one.
Thank you, Greg.
And I
Thank you.
couldn't finish it. They weigh 10 pounds.
Can you put it in terms, though, Jessica, please? Because yes, it is impressive that you are a big eater because you are not in any way large. You are a woman who is not large. I don't
Very
know.
well said,
I
Dan.
can't ask her how much she
Avoiding HR.
weighs. I can't ask her. That's,
Yeah.
that's
Why not?
impolite to ask her how. But she's small.
Is skinny offensive?
She eats a
Just-
lot.
yeah.
She eats a lot.
How much do you weigh, Jessica?
Oh,
There
my
it is.
God.
There it is. There it is.
Hey,
There it is.
Just gonna say, if
I'll
you're gonna
tell-
try to
I'll-
blow someone
yeah.
away, don't say 2.
I'll tell you how much I weigh. I mean, what's the secret?
How much do you weigh?
408 pounds.
Wow.
Wow.
You wear
As
it
of
well.
this morning.
Yeah.
Thank
Great,
you.
Greg.
Thank you.
I don't mind telling people my weight. It's just
What's your social?
people on the internet like would do weird things with that, so I won't say it.
Okay.
I don't mind telling you guys.
No, I don't want to
Tell
do
you.
this.
I'll tell you
The
next
po-
week.
The point is, can
Let's
you
all guess Jessica's weight.
can you put it in,
Greg, stop it.
Can you
You go
put-
first.
Can you put it in terms that the people oh great, a laugh cough. Put that on the
Sorry.
board.
My bad.
Give us something in layman's terms in a farm nuggets. Are you saying how many nuggets are you willing to come in here and eat? Give us an impressive number so that we can make you do it.
Well, are we talking grilled nugs or regular nugs?
Guys,
Just pick a number.
Pick a number.
Jeez.
A
Regular
number. A
fried
number of
nuggets.
nugs.
You
A
can-
nug.
I think
Why
I,
don't you
I think
choose
I
what
could
it
do
is?
50 grilled nugs.
Grilled nugs.
What about
No, we're
breaded
doing
nugs?
nugs. Regular nugs. You
I
guys
can't
are
do
having
regular
to go at
nugs.
me
You
for-
guys know I have
Oh,
a
gluten.
food allergy.
oh Jesus, here we
You
are.
do? Wait a minute.
And now
How could you
Jason-
do minis and burritos and
How'd
all
you
that
eat a
stuff?
burrito?
Right.
That's
It's
why
a
I
gluten
said in
allergy.
perfect condition.
Food
Oh
allergy.
my God. Go ahead and
And
play
I-
one of these songs. She's got food delusions. She's got delusions about what an impressive eater she is, and she's a fraud.
I've never seen Cody in the flesh, but he sounds like he's 80 years old. I know he's not proud of how he dresses, in an 80s shirt and a 70s haircut. But on the show he's like knuckleball, curveball, I can hit a home run, Kershaw, Verlander, don't matter who is throwing, I don't care. I'll hit them 400 feet in air. And then Greg Cody's like, I can take D, Wade, and Bosch on the double team, find the open man, and even if they're guarding me, I don't care. I'm draining threes from everywhere, and I can kick field goals. Oh, like my idol Fuad Reeves. I'll hit from 50 yards at least, even though I'm missing PATs. I'm good enough to place wagers. And win the money from Batard, and then I think I just pulled my quad.
You can't do this enough. Honestly, play the other one. Play the Bon Jovi one. Which one do you like better, Greg, from among these two?
The one we just heard has a special place in my heart because I'm a huge Lord fan who has a new album coming out very soon. I'm the oldest man in America who is infatuated by Lord, and so that song I love. But Bon Jovi's great too, so they're both terrific.
Walks into the studio for his normal Tuesday date. He says, I've forgotten my headphones, and I'm sorry that I'm late. They're about to go live on air. Dinner Stugotz are on. The intro music's playing, but Greg Cody's mic is off. The show starts out okay, and things are going fine. They do some Heat and Dolphin talk, and Tim Kirchin's on the line. Then Greg Cody clears his throat, and he sits up in his chair. He makes an obscure reference, drops a bad one-liner, and a steroid question for Tim. The show's going down in a blaze of Cody, and there ain't nothing that Mama Ryan can do. It's going down in a blaze of Cody. Cody never speaks first, but he'll get the last word on you.
I don't know, Greg. There's a lot of Lord fans at Notre Dame.
Really? Not my age though. Oh, the Lord. Oh, I get it. Okay, sorry.
Oh man,
It took me a minute to catch up to that joke. Sorry.
Let's talk about this commercial I saw in SportsCenter because I was laughing this morning. I'm not kidding you when I tell you I don't think I've seen a SportsCenter in 5 years, maybe 6 years. And I was watching at some of the rhythms, right? Because this is a slow time. So, man, I was getting an unusual number of Royals highlights, right? So you're like, because they got to fill it up with something for an hour, and there's just not an hour of stuff to do it with. And so I'm watching, and I'm super informed right now on baseball last night's developments. We've got the Giants were 0-25 entering the ninth. They won last night against the Dodgers, so they're no longer 0-25. Randy Arozarena has had 7 home runs against the Orioles in 8 games. I feel like that's the last 10 years of Orioles baseball.
That's just needing to put stats on the screen, right? I mean, what is that stat?
They're just doing a bunch of stuff to keep it going, to keep the machine moving. But in the middle of this, I saw a commercial, and maybe it's common to you guys. It was not common to me. Number 2 should be easy to do. And it's a little ukulele, and it's super happy. It's a super happy song. And I saw it a couple of times. It's 15 seconds long, and I'm like, wow, that's a good commercial. They're going to get you fast because it's just nobody's watching commercials anymore. And it's 15 seconds of music. And what's your product? Number 2 should be easy to do. And then they go to pain when you're trying to poo. Going sometimes feels like you push through a pineapple or two. A pineapple or two. Boom, song, 15 seconds, go to the bathroom, better. And then the next commercial, a little while later, was similar. Number 2 should be easy to do. And then there's the phrase, pinching off a porcupine. Are you pinching off a porcupine? And it's sung happy and with a ukulele. And I thought to myself, that is good commercial making. Because they got my attention with the idea of shitting porcupines and pineapples. And I'm not used to seeing that on television. Have you guys seen this commercial? Because
No.
I thought to myself, what I immediately thought to myself is, my God, the singer of this little song, what does she think about what's happened to her life and her career as a musician? When she's talking about pinching off a porcupine, and sometimes it feels like you're shitting 2 pineapples. Here's a happy song with a ukulele.
I think the second pineapple would hurt more than the first, or like the first one kind of like.
No,
cleared
it's the
a
first
path.
one. The first one's bad. The first one's probably bad.
Yeah, first one's a new experience. Second time, you're just kind of you know at least what you're ready. You're braced for what's about to happen.
What? So wait, what was the product that was being sold.
Well, I'm not good at that. If Roy had seen this commercial, it's a product that helps you go to the bathroom. It started with a C. This is the reason we learned that Roy is good at these ridiculous bits of minutia is because that was the starting point. When it comes to commercial television, I have no retention for those kinds of things. And every time we'd ask, Roy would know the answer. And next time we ask, Roy will know the answer. But this is a product that that was sitting in the middle of the shitting that was being done all around it in sports highlights.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw was a commercial that I was like, man, that would make me look, man, are we watching commercials anymore?
I don't. No. But that product, by the way, is called Crap-A-Lot. That's what they
it
call
is
that.
not called Crap-A-Lot.
I think it is.
It's not called Crap-A-Lot.
Could be.
I have the commercial here. Now, we're generally discouraged from playing commercials, but I feel like this company wouldn't mind if we played this commercial on this massive platform, right? Like they're probably, oh, cool, thanks for the free advertising. So can I fire it off here?
In a second, you can. Thank you for finding it so quickly, but put it at Batard Show. When pooping pineapples, which one hurts more? The first pineapple or
Question has never been asked
Or-
in the history of mankind.
or the second pineapple? Okay, see, but the part about this that confused me is I thought for sure you guys have been watching this commercial again and again. So you guys are telling me watching SportsCenter for the first time in 6 years, I just saw the first of its kind commercial on something that none of you have seen it because I know you guys are watching SportsCenter.
Well, it's one of those things where, as Greg said, I'm always skipping through commercials, right? I have basically built out an entertainment life in which I always go for the extra $2 on Hulu so I don't have to watch commercials. The extra, like, I pay for YouTube Premium so I don't have to watch the pre-roll ads on YouTube. Like, I'm avoiding ads at any cost. And so they have to be running 50, 60 times to penetrate my conscience whatsoever.
Okay, you need to hold on to this song because I want to play it for everyone because I think everyone's going to delight in this. But again, because Billy's wearing a mask, Billy, I feel like you just rolled your eyes at Whittingham.
No, I mean, I was going to say we skipped through the commercials, but not like the DraftKings one or like Verizon. Like those we watch. Those we appreciate.
Those are good
We
commercials.
always stop
Yeah,
there.
we love those guys.
Podcast
Yeah.
advertising is most effective. You can't skip them.
I'm a Verizon customer.
Well, that's the bet we just made. That's the bet that we just made. I look forward to the day because Billy's got a new role now where he is
I
working.
love commercials. I'm just gonna say that.
Billy's got a role where he's working directly with DraftKings. But Billy, I've been dying forever to figure out a way for our show to make these commercials in a way that feel less like commercials and are fun like this stupid ass pineapple commercial. It's not even a pineapple commercial. It's like I just couldn't believe I was watching a commercial and the commercial was, does it feel like you shit 2 pineapples? Here's a happy song by our product. So
If it hurts when you poop sometimes, like pinching off a porcupine, you're sweating, you're next trip to the loo. Colace is the brand you need to soften stools, we're all agreed. Number 2 should be easy to do.
Trust Colace to soften stools with no stimulants for comfortable relief.
a perfect commercial.
It's
I want a
beautiful.
vacation there.
It is beautiful. I also want to vacation there with you. I want to, you and me
Well-
shitting pineapples on an island.
That'd be great.
If there's pain when you try to poo and going sometimes feels like you push through a pineapple or 2. Colace is the brand you need to soften stools, we're all agreed. Number 2 should be easy to do.
Trust Colace to soften stools with no stimulants for comfortable relief.
It is funny imagining a trained professional singer in a studio reaching the nadir of her career.
Jessica, please get me her by the end of the show.
I have to talk to her.
Please get me I want to know the whole life story that got there. She's got a lovely voice. I was made happy by hearing her sing. I did not think that I was shitting 2 pineapples. I thought I was vacationing on an island with Billy.
Should we be concerned that SportsCenter is running adverts for stool softener? That's like for like a very old demographic, isn't it? I would expect like the Game Show Network to be running adverts for stool softener.
No, if you're sitting on a couch for a very long time watching sports, you're going to need a stool softener.
That's right.
They also run ads on ESPN for like tactical glasses. Have you guys seen those ones?
That's what I call the ACC Network brand of commercials. Like the commercials on the ACC Network are something else, man. Because you can tell they're not in every market, they're not in every cable system, and so some of the commercials there are all
please,
over the place.
Please, dear God, please, you guys, work on building an economic money tree for Metal Art in which we happily play all of those commercials the way John Oliver treats local news. Like, please get me all of those commercials. Have all of these people advertise with us. If you've got the weirder, the better. The strange, please, dear God, have all those people. We're a pretty big podcast. How do we do that? One of my favorite segments in all of television is John Oliver just checking in on the local news. Like, please, if you want to know why America's divided, go grab those ACC commercials that are playing and just know how different some regions of our country are.
Like the old Tommy Maskey commercials with Fred McGriff, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Oh, yes. The 3-time world champion minor league baseball team teaching how to play baseball.
This is the instructional video that gets results.
Didn't he say he'd never watched them? I think that came out recently.
Fred McGriff doesn't know much about them. No, he doesn't know that that left a permanent imprint in your childhood. He was just making at a local ball field some silly commercial that he never thought about again.
What's Fred McGriff doing with his life that he doesn't know that people were talking about him and watching his videos?
All it would have to be was be a Hall of Famer who's not involved in social media at all or has like a reclusive life of some sort. You think it's impossible to consider that Fred McGriff wouldn't have heard of a commercial that touched all of our childhoods?
That he was in? Yeah.
Well, just that he did a commercial as a throwaway one day, that he just went one day to a local park, it's a pretty amateur commercial.
I think he's a liar.
I mean, somebody's going to mention it to him. Hey, Fred, that kind of thing.
Hey,
It wouldn't just casually come up at any point in his life, like, "Hey, Fred, videos, my kids are watching them, huh?" I'm sure people took up those videos for him to autograph, right? You would think. That's what I would want. If you would want anything autographed by Fred McGriff, what would it be? I didn't think we'd end up here today. No one has anything. Not even no. You can even say a baseball. I'd want a baseball autograph by Fred McGriff.
That hat that you wore in the commercial, probably.
He's a Hall of Fame, or he's very close to being. He didn't make the Hall of Fame, but he's close to being a Hall of Fame baseball player. I would assume that people would want a Fred McGriff autographed baseball.
Is that something you put on a resume, close to being a Hall of Famer?
Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, Greg.
Exactly. Zagaki.
In salty, brackish water throughout the Caribbean. There's several species of flamingos. There's lesser flamingos, there's greater flamingos, there's Caribbean flamingos, there's the Chilean flamingos. They're all similar in shape, but not necessarily in size. Lesser flamingos are smaller. The Caribbean flamingos are considered to be the most beautiful because they have the greatest, deepest, most vibrant salmon pink coloration.
Ron, what are your favorite photographed moments like that? You still have the same enthusiasm after all these years, and I see it in your pictures. You can see it, that how much you love the animals and how you convey it in your art. You are, I don't know if people know this, and Ron is terribly humble about this, but Ron is one of, I'm not making this up, Ron, right? Like, you are one of the world's most distinguished or decorated animal photographers, correct? Don't be humble about this. You just are, correct?
I'm a wildlife photographer. I've been very fortunate to be, given the label of a Nikon ambassador for Nikon USA, which is, to me, the premier photographic company in the world. So, but there are many, many great photographers. I'm not as much a great photographer, Dan, as I am a very lucky person to be in places where you really can't take a bad photograph. So
okay,
I'm very lucky to.
Okay, but how many of those, Nikon gives out how many of those? You're an ambassador?
I was one of the original 12.
Okay, so you're being false. You're being modest, but he is modest. And so you're one of the original 12. And I've been telling you for a while that you should be selling your photographs here to help your endowment. But when you talk about the flamingos and these photographs, what specifically about it do you love? Is it that in your photographs I could see the love that you have for animals?
I think what I see is a lot of times I can see things, with a still photograph, you're picturing, basically you're freezing 1,000th of a second. And that is something that sometimes you don't even get to see with your naked eye. And so I get to see certain behaviors. I see certain subtle things that these animals do in these still photographs that teach me more about them. And every time I take a photograph, it just preserves a moment that'll never happen exactly that way again. And quite frankly, Dan, I'm not the brightest bulb in the chandelier, but I'm very lucky in the sense that I have a memory, a photographic memory, in that every photograph that I take, you can show me a photograph that I took 15 years ago in Africa, and when I see the photograph, I remember taking it. I remember where I was. I even sometimes remember what it smelled like when I took it. So this is just something that I've been very lucky to have that gift because like I say, I am not smart in any other way, but it's just a lucky gift that I have. So photography just connects me to nature. It just lets me see things, subtle things in nature, and helps preserve those moments. And it's my greatest tool when I have to try to teach people to care about nature too.
Ron, I'd like to do some of this with you because I'd like this to be a little more of an audio and video experience. I don't know whether do you have any of these photographs in your office, or let's see them. Okay, so the pink mustache is being helpful here. This photograph that Jessica is showing us of this lion, tell us the backstory. Tell us the backstory of this photograph. It's beautiful.
That is in the Okavango Delta in Botswana. This was a male lion. I am leaning low in the bottom of a Toyota Land Cruiser, and it's just walking up to me. The sun is just rising, which is that great side light, and it just slowly started taking step by step by step, and it kind of saw its reflection in the face of my lens. So it's just looking at me and wondering whether it's looking at me and wondering whether it's looking at what it thinks is another lion. So there's that moment there of just that anticipation, a little bit of anxiety, but it's just electric. You know, there's that old saying that says, life isn't measured by the number of breaths that you take. It's measured by the number of times your breath is taken away. And when you have a lion like that, standing literally 10, 15 feet in front of you, staring right at you like that, and it's just got this incredible look. I mean, just the light and the smell of the Okavango Delta at sunrise. Man, I'll tell you, I remember that photograph very well. It really made quite an impression on me.
Jessica's going to show you another one now, but before she does, last week you just sort of casually mentioned, and I don't think I had heard this story from you before, that there was a time that you were facing off sort of against a silverback gorilla like that. I heard you correctly, right? There was a lot happening because the professor we were talking to was describing
Professor my ass. But anyway, go ahead.
And yes, but I just expound on that. Thank you. I didn't mean to trigger this side of you again, but can you explain that to us?
Well, yeah, I was actually, one of my dreams, Dan, growing up, I used to watch the National Geographic specials, and I'll never forget watching Diane Fossey in the Virunga volcanoes with these mountain gorillas coming up to her, being able to be next to them. This is an animal that, so many people have this preconceived notion that it's King Kong, it's this massive, aggressive, dangerous animal. And yet I saw this gentle giant with Diane Fossey, and I always dreamed about seeing that myself. And this was the first time I was able to go to Rwanda, into the Virunga volcanoes. And I was sitting there watching this incredible troop of mountain gorillas when one of them came right up to me. Now, you're supposed to keep a 15-foot distance between you and the gorillas because you don't want to have anything, transmit to the animals. There's zoonotic diseases where you can give something a cold or something to the animal. You're not supposed to be on the mountain anyway if you have any kind of sickness. But anyway, you try to keep your distance. But if the gorilla comes to you, you do not turn and run. What you have to do is you just kind of get into the fetal position. Don't look at the gorilla. Don't make any threatening moves or sounds. There's a sound that you do make to calm the gorilla down. It kind of goes, the guides make that sound, and that's kind of a comforting sound to the gorillas. So I'm sitting there going, and this gorilla came, sat right next to me. And all of a sudden, she leaned over to me, and with her lips, she just tugged on my earlobe. And I can feel her, she's breathing in my nose. She's and you feel that, and it's just something electricity there. And I'm honestly telling you that I never thought for 1 second she was going to kill me or she was going to hurt me. I just couldn't believe I was there. And I took my camera. I had a wide-angle lens on it. I just took a blind shot, not looking at this. I can't look at the gorilla. That's a threat. You can't look at these primates that way. It's a threat. And I just took a shot. And I have this shot. You can't really see my face, but you can see the gorilla right next to me, this wide-angle lens. And it's just one of those moments, again, Dan, where you can't pay me enough to forget that moment of this incredible, majestic animal sitting gently next to me and curiously just kind of investigating my earlobe with her lips. It was just phenomenal.
Ron, you have to be shitting me. Never mind. I didn't know you had a photograph of this. I don't know where that photograph is. I would like to see that photograph, but how are you not scared in that moment? I understand you trust the animals and you know the animals, but Ron, this is the wilderness and this animal can kill you in 9 seconds.
Dan, I don't know. I just think it's my fascination and my wonder that overrides the fear. I've never, the only time I was ever really frightened, and I told that story before, is when that elephant came at us in the Ngorongoro crater in Tanzania. That was something that I knew I could really be in trouble. And I really thought for a while there I was not going to live through that. But, any other thing, I understand that gorillas are these gentle giants. And this was not a male that came up to me. It was a female. And females are much more inquisitive. They're much less aggressive. The male might tend to be aggressive if he feels you're threatening the troop. But this was a female. And Dan, this is one of the rarest animals in the world. At that time, there were probably less than 500 mountain gorillas in the world. And here's one sitting next to me on this mountain that I had watched on National Geographic, the same mountain that Diane Fossey sat on working with these gorillas. That's a magical connection. I mean, you could look and, as a journalist and think, God, this is like, sitting at the desk of Edward R. Murrow and talking to these people. I mean, I don't know. It's not a good analogy, I guess, but for me, it was just so exciting to have such an incredible animal, such a majestic animal, and yet such a gentle giant next to me. I really never was afraid. It was an adrenaline rush. I'm not going to tell you my heart wasn't beating over 200 beats a minute, but it was not out of fear. It was just adrenaline.
Give me another moment like that, Ron, because I want to straddle the space between fear and just gratitude. Give me a moment of spiritual serenity that we might look at and say, oh my God, that's crazy that Ron would allow that to happen near a dangerous animal or an animal that we think is dangerous. Do you have another story like that? Because I've not heard the one you just told. That situation sounds horrifying, and it sounds something like you would advise others to be very careful if they were in that situation.
When I say be careful, yes, you do not want to look up and look at the gorilla because that would be a threat. But I knew that. I knew just to keep myself in a fetal position, take the photograph, and yet I could just feel her lips gently tugging on my earlobe and feeling her just blowing into my ear, smelling me, probably thinking I stink. Whereas, the gorilla to me wasn't the greatest smelling animal in the world. But another incident I'll give you actually happened in the Masai Mara in Kenya. And this was an elephant. We were in the middle of a large herd of elephants, probably about 30, 40 elephants, mothers with calves. And all of a sudden, this calf came walking closer to the vehicle. And, one of the most dangerous times to be around an elephant is a mother with her calf because they're very protective of their calves. So this calf came walking over, and you could tell the mother was looking at it. And then all of a sudden, the mother came between the calf and the vehicle, but to the point where she was literally 5 feet from the vehicle. And I'm just standing there trying to stand perfectly still. And then the trunk comes over and it reaches over, and just you hear the trunk again and kind of touches the side of the vehicle, and I could feel the whiskers. I'm not moving. I grabbed my arm on the top of the Land Cruiser, and I could feel the whiskers of the trunk. And everybody's just saying, "Stay still, don't make any moves." That's a big adrenaline rush there too. But I think, this is going to sound like a little stupid, and people are going to, Ron, that's ridiculous. I just really felt that elephant knew that we were not there to harm her, that she was just kind of scoping out, and there was a way that she could sense that we were not a threat. And then she continued to eat and let us photograph her calf and be close to her calf. And that's kind of a very special feeling when an animal accepts you into its environment without thinking of you as a threat.
Ron, how do you learn things that are potentially life-saving, such as what sound to make that calms down a gorilla?
The indigenous people. I can't say it enough, Greg, that when you work in areas of conservation, no one knows more about those animals than the people who live alongside of them every day. No matter what you read in a book, what you see in a video, whatever, you need to talk to the people who live alongside these animals. It's the indigenous tribes, the indigenous people who live with these animals that tell me these things, that show me these things. A lot of the research is done. These guides, these rangers, a lot of these rangers, these guides were actually poachers. They were originally poachers, but they were given this job, so they stopped poaching, and they realized that by bringing people and teaching them how to be around the animals, because no one can find the animals better than these guys. Originally, they found them for the wrong reasons. They were poaching them, but they're the best trackers in the world. And there's so much they can teach you. A lot of these guys didn't even know how to read or write, but they forgotten more about the forest than I will ever learn.
Jessica, do you have another photo there for Ron to look at and tell us the backstory on?
Yeah, Ron, can you tell us about this little Anthony Davis deer with the birdies on its back?
That is actually in India when I'm tracking tigers, and that's what's called a chital or spotted deer. What the hell is all over your face, Jessica?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, gosh. Anyway, and those are minor birds. And what those minor birds are doing is they're eating the ticks that get into the ears of the deer. It's what we call a symbiotic relationship, you see. And the deer learns to stand perfectly still while these minor birds get in there and they eat the ticks out of the ear. So it's this wonderful thing where people wonder, what is that bird doing pecking in the ear of the deer? Well, the deer knows that it's taking the ticks out, so it's very relaxed. It's this wonderful symbiotic relationship where the deer gets rid of a parasite and the minor bird gets food. That's in India when I was tracking tigers. A really great moment.
Ron,
Come on, I'm missing something here. I obviously came in late, but what is the thing, Jessica? No,
Birthmark.
I know you're screaming inside. I see your eyes. You're screaming. There you go. I knew it. What the hell's going on here? What am I missing?
Roy, what do you
Is this
have
a theme
for
day or something?
Roy? What do you have for Ron McGill? We're just, I don't know. They're just screwing around with Snapchat filters.
Ron,
okay.
Ron, a zoo in London gave a lion a surgical procedure, a 3-hour root canal. And you've done surgical procedures with animals before. You were there. What was the most harrowing experience that you've had during these procedures?
Well, we've done lots of root canals and things like that, but I think one of the most amazing things I was ever part of was doing a cesarean section on a camel on the exhibit. The camel was so large, we could not bring her to the hospital. The baby was breached, so we had to create, as sterile an environment as possible out on the exhibit, and I worked with the veterinarian, and they actually used my arms because my arms are so long and I'm so tall to help reach in to reposition the baby to get it out in the cesarean section. So it was very harrowing because, first of all, we worry about infection getting into the mother. We worry about the stress of the surgery itself, the mother surviving that. And then, of course, we worry about the baby surviving being born through cesarean section out on an exhibit. I'm very happy to say this was many years ago, but it was successful. I mean, it was just one of those moments where you go, oh my gosh, here's this camel. We've got her anesthetized. We're doing this, working with the veterinarian, going through layers and layers of skin and tissue, getting into the uterus. And then you pull out this baby, which is all legs. And as soon as you pull it out, you just see the snout kind of go, take his first breath. It's magical, man. It's really magical stuff.
Ron, we've been talking in the shipping container about dogs and finding love and a bunch of different things. I've got a question for you about dogs and house domestic animals. Do they miss their parents at all? Do they think around and say, you know what, where's my mom and dad? Whatever happened to them? Do they ever think about that?
It's hard to say. It'll be purely speculative. But the bottom line is this. Generally speaking, with domestic animals, when they're born, puppies or kittens, they're immediately exposed to humans. So they don't necessarily totally bond on just their parents. Humans are working with them. They're interacting with them. So they look at humans as part of the pack. So the key thing is that they have some type of companionship, whether it be their parents or whether it be humans. But as puppies being born under human care, they're exposed to humans. They look at humans as part of the pack. So that's part of the social necessity that they need. That's why it's so cool to just take a dog, put it on a chain and leave it outside your house by itself. These are social animals that need to have that type of social connection, be it with either their parents, other dogs, or with humans.
So do puppies see us as their daddies and mommies like we think they do?
Absolutely, they do.
Oh,
absolutely, they do.
Wow.
It's called imprinting, basically, where they look at you as part of the pack, and if you're the one that's feeding them, you're the one that's taking care of them from the time they're puppies. They cannot decipher the difference between a dog and you as part of the pack. You are part of that pack that they accept you as, and that's what it's so important to socialize dogs properly that way.
Look at the enthusiasm in the room. You guys are delighted. Smiles all over the room about my animal thinks that I'm actually his or her mommy or daddy.
So Ron, my cat looks at me and doesn't he think, why is my dad walking on his hind legs? Why is he so much bigger than me? Why doesn't he look like me?
Why won't he stop drinking beer?
My wife has that, not my cat.
I don't think their thought process is that intense. I mean, you can see this with almost any animal. We have seen a lion adopt a baby antelope, and the antelope followed around like it's its mother. We have seen, a huge bird or a tiny bird. There is a type of bird, actually, the cuckoo, that actually puts its eggs in the nest of much smaller birds. And the smaller birds hatch the bird out. And this bird, the baby is as big as the bird is as an adult, and yet it feeds it and raises it up. So, it's whatever is feeding it. It's called imprinting. You can do it with ducks, for instance. If you had duck eggs and you hatch out the duck eggs, when the ducklings hatch out, if they see you first and you're giving them food, they will follow you everywhere you walk. You are the mother, and they will follow you as if you were their mother. And you can take a photograph of a person walking. It's the same thing they do with birds that are imprinted, that they do these incredible flying videos. You ever see that movie Winged Migration? These are imprinted birds that fly alongside the ultralight, so they can get this incredible video because they think the ultralight is one of their parents.
So do dogs, Ron, think that maybe they look like us? Because I know that dogs don't really realize how big or small they are. Like sometimes puppies go under a table and then they grow to be these massive dogs and they still try to go under the same table and then they lift up and the table's off the ground. So does my puppy think that he looks like me?
doesn't think that he looks like you, but he
Oh.
tries to be like you in your movements. You know,
Aw.
those types of things. I think dogs try to emulate, try to, you know, to make their partners happy. And you are, you know, the alpha dog in the pack. So they will be usually submissive to the alpha dog, at the same time, cooperative in the way they interact with you.
You haven't met
My dog recently discovered herself in the mirror. Do you
God, I
think she
think they're
knows
Oh.
she's looking at herself, or does she
No.
think it's another dog?
She probably thinks it's another dog. Very few animals have. No, she's adorable. They keep her there because the pink mustache and beard is killing me. But no, the only animals that we have really
Wow,
shown
you were
to-
really
proven to
disoriented there,
recognize
Ron.
their own reflection are things like elephants, dolphins, porpoises, some of the cetaceans, and some of the more advanced primates. You know, chimps, gorillas. We have seen that they can recognize their own reflection, but most other animals look at it as just a conspecific.
And hypothetically, since you said that dogs, there's an imprint situation with their parents, if you were to hypothetically like go somewhere for a while and leave your dog at home, like would they get depressed?
Yes, that is obviously something that does happen. Dogs will get depressed.
Aw.
They have separation anxiety, tremendous separation anxiety. You can find that even when, you know, if you're with a dog, people who during this pandemic were home with their animals all the time and all of a sudden had to go back to work. Many times they'll come back and they'll find that the dog has ripped up the cushions or ripped up the curtains or started urinating or defecating in the house. That is a separation anxiety stress behavior that is being done because the dog is missing you. That's basically what it is.
Ron, what is a dog's sense of time or lack of? Because sometimes you'll leave the house, you'll come back an hour later, and the dog will act like you've been on vacation for 2 weeks, and he's so thrilled to see you after you've only been gone an hour.
That's the great thing about dogs, Greg, is that they, you know, no matter how bad your day has been, no matter what has happened to that dog during the day, whatever it is, when you come home, that dog is always happy to see you. That's the beautiful thing about these animals. The dogs do have an internal biological clock. It's like a circadian rhythm that they have, where they know it's time to eat. They know it's time to go for a walk, these things, and they'll let you know. I mean, and of course, there are certain stimuluses that you do that indicate, you know, you pick up a leash and they know that, right? Well, we're going to go for a walk. They hear the can open. Oh my gosh, I want to get fed. So all these things are things that animals learn and become part of their rhythm, become part of their circadian rhythm in a lot of ways, just in the normal cycle of their daily life.
Ron, thank you for joining us again. Next week, bring a couple or do me a favor, send us a couple of photographs that we can put up. And also, I'd like to send people to that gorilla photograph. Can you please?
I will send that to you right now. As soon as I get off the air, I will send it to you.
All right, we'll send it to Angel and put it up at World of Suey so that people can see the photograph that you're talking
Understand
about.
that my face is right out of that's taken with a wide angle lens right next to me with this gorilla.
No, but I want to see what that looks like because when I've seen some of these photos, I haven't considered how close you might actually be to the animal. I was assuming always that you would be far away. I did not assume that anybody was chewing on your ear.
No. This one was not chewing on my ear, Dan. She was gently just grasping it with her lips. It's a wide angle lens. You'll see it when photographers will know by looking at the photograph. I was taking a wide angle lens of this animal sitting right next to me.
Okay, we'll
Slice of heaven, guys.
All right.
Jessica, get rid of the pink. It's not very becoming.
All right, see you later.
Bye.
Week. Like, just write an article about the naked lady, because that's kind of interesting.
But
to
it's
me.
New York City, right? Like, don't you see weird shit all the time? Aren't
Naked
there
cowboy.
just the
Oh,
naked
God,
cowboy, just like
yes.
weird people all over the place doing weird things? Why would you write about something that's just kind of normal?
I feel like he specifically mentioned Fifth Avenue for a reason. He's probably like protecting almost like a classism about what that is, isn't it?
Well, yes, like Fifth Avenue is like the wealthy shopping district in New York. That's where all the flagship stores are for Saks and, you know, all of the fancy stores. But it's also like, dude, it's July. There's been 3 heat waves already this summer. Like, it has been in the hundreds here for the first time in like decades. Let people wear a bikini top on the subway if they want. Like, the subways aren't even freaking air conditioned. Like, why is this an art? Why, like, who approved this as an article? It makes no sense to me.
I mean, it does reflect a sensibility, right? Like, there are many millions of Americans who find exposed skin to be unnerving, right? Like, it is reflective of some people's way of thinking, you know. It's because you're a classic New York elite, who just thinks that everyone thinks like you, and out in middle America, there's a different sensibility to the one that you have, Jess.
I actually disagree. I think that this is the opposite of that. I think this is him being an elitist who thinks that you need to wear a petticoat and tails to go outside to get your frickin' Harvest Bowl at Sweet Green. Whereas we live in a city.
Harvest Bowl at Sweet Green.
That's how you ended
that's
that?
What he wrote.
That's
what he wrote. That was in his article. Thank you, Tony. Tony was listening. That was in his article that he saw a woman naked from the waist up at Astor Place. Guess what? There's probably 50 women naked from the waist up at Astor Place every day. It's Astor Place. Like, you get what you signed up for.
What
if
is
going
that?
To the
What is
Sweet
it?
Green.
What's Astor Place?
Guy, you sound like such a
It's
New
the subway
Yorker. It's
stop.
not even funny. Oh my
Oh,
God, you sound like
Astor
Yeah,
Place.
guess
such a
what,
New
Whitty?
Yorker.
I live in New York. Of course I sound like a New Yorker. You sound like a South Floridian sometimes. And
No,
that's
but-
cool,
but
because
you-
that's where you're
but-
from.
No, but what you're saying is detached from a reality in most places in the country, right? Most places in the country would be unnerved if all of a sudden they started walking around the street and there are people not wearing clothes.
Right, but I'm saying, like, that is the only part of this article that is, like, remotely interesting to me, is that this guy saw some naked lady and was like, naked lady. I guess it's not that interesting, though, because I see naked people all the time in New York. But my point is,
You do?
He wrote an entire.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, like New York. There's just like, this is the reality here.
Wow, I got to move
And
there.
that's.
You do. You live
you
in the
been on
same
the beach?
place.
Like,
What are you talking about? Like,
all
I
over
don't.
the way.
People
There's-
from New York come to
above naked.
Miami and think we're all naked all the time. New York's not naked all the time. Do you see how people dress in Miami?
Have you not been to Hollow Beach?
Well, that's a nude beach. I mean, that doesn't quite
Greg
count.
Cody has been to a nude beach.
I have.
Really?
Yeah, right.
How'd that go?
It went pretty well, actually.
Did you partake?
Here's the weird thing about a nude beach. Most of the bodies there you don't want to look at. There are people. A lot of them are people my age. They're like big overweight Canadians. I mean, it's not a pretty sight. I'm telling you.
Oh,
Why are you smearing the Canadians?
I just use that as an example.
Are they walking around with a flag? How'd you know?
Yeah, they do.
Keep in mind how he started that sentence. Here's a weird thing about a nude beach.
Nudity.
Well, it is. I mean, I think most people who've never been to a nude beach have a preconception about it that's totally wrong. You know,
So you're
it's
saying they romantically think that they're going to see beautiful people nude
pretty much
at a nude beach,
Yeah,
when in
why do you think I
reality
went?
it's not.
right. Exactly.
In reality, it's
Right.
you nude.
I've actually been to two nude beaches. One with Edwin Pope in Barcelona in 1992. What a trip!
There's a visual.
By the way,
that's
why
a visual.
why is the
Yeah.
naked cowboy not naked? Jess, you're a New Yorker.
Will you
Doesn't
slow
that
down?
annoy you?
Will you slow down,
Yeah,
please?
let's
I
marinate
like
in
the
you
pace,
in
I know.
Barcelona in '92.
Just slow down, because you just said I went to a nude beach with Edwin Pope in
God rest his soul.
1992.
Right.
God rest his soul.
Indeed.
I would like the audience now, since we are doing a copy and paste show, to simply Google image Edwin Pope.
All I have in my head is the tiny picture that went next to his columns when I was holding the newspaper at the barber shop. Like, that's what I'm imagining, just like a 100 by 100 picture
Right.
So
on,
be
on a
clear,
nude beach.
We're Googling Edwin Pope nude.
No, please.
No, don't
safe
do
for work.
that.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Please
No,
don't do
please
that.
don't, no.
I think, and this, we got in trouble here with Howard Schnellenberger and, and Bob Greasy, who didn't like the way that we remembered the memory of Edwin Pope at Marlins Park. They wanted something more noble, less dirty, like Cody and I are. And so we just did it by Clevelander Pool at Marlins Park, and I think they came in suits. They were, and we had an open bar.
It was a party.
But did they know where they were going? At the Clevelander at Marlins Park, what kind of memorial was that going to be?
Well, it did not become the memorial they were thinking it was going to be, because they were there to remember the great and graceful Edwin Pope. But they also didn't know Edwin the way that,
Right. Oh,
that
yeah.
Greg and I did. And so what I remember
There's
sitting
a lot in that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, this is why. Now I want you to put it on your screen now, so this can be as shocking to you as it was to me as a young reporter. And Edwin Pope was old the entire time that I knew him. Edwin Pope was an old man, but he was an old man who drank when he was away from his wife, so much that one night he drank with Cody, I'm pretty sure, and drank so much that he came home and he fell over drunk in the hotel room and hit the front of his pec with the corner of the dresser. And when he got home and told his wife what happened, he said he was coming out of the Colts elevator and he had been impaled by a forklift, is what he told his wife. Yes.
Very, very creative.
Yes, because he was a partier. And I want you to now, with this image in your head, imagine me typing Cub Reporter. This is the top of the profession. I want to get up there. This old guy who's been old the entire time I've known him is grace and class. All the coaches love him. He's an icon and a pioneer in Miami. And he's typing and he's typing and I'm typing. And he just turns to me and he says, apropos of nothing, we weren't talking about it or anything. When I was younger, I'd have fucked a rattlesnake if you held its head for me.
Grace and class, you said.
I want to bring Renee Montgomery in here to talk about the important stuff that we've been talking about this morning. Vin Diesel and The Rock. This thing is escalating, Billy. It is clear that Vin Diesel thinks Fast and the Furious, that's his set. He's been quoted as saying tough love for The Rock on his set. Now The Rock is being quoted, I laughed and I laughed hard. I will not be participating in any more Fast and Furious. So download Renee here on which side of this you're on, Billy.
Well, Renee, are you familiar with what's going on? Dan just told you very briefly. Have you seen F9 yet?
I have not seen F9.
What have
I
you been
haven't seen
doing?
F2 through 8 as well. So
What?
I know. Yeah, no, I'm not. I haven't.
What have you been
Yeah, I
up
don't
to,
watch it.
if you don't mind me asking?
Say what?
What have you been up to? Missed 8 of them.
Just sports. I really watch a lot of sports or binge watch shows. Apple TV shows are my favorite Netflix originals. But the Fast and Furious series, it just didn't tickle my fancy. Even though my fiance is in like a cameo in there, I still have not even seen.
Hold on.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I mean, I don't
Yeah,
wanna call
just a
you-
quick cameo. She's one of like the car girls on one of the racing things. And so I haven't even seen that whole movie of that one, just to give you guys an idea of like not really watching it. But yeah, that's a little nugget to drop on y'all. My wifey acts and stuff and sings and she's in entertainment. So yeah, there's that.
And you haven't seen it. I mean,
I know. Don't make me feel bad.
Bad
Look at Jessica.
fiance.
Come on. Like I know I'm gonna watch it. Binge watch happening.
Which one?
Crushed with fame right now.
Do you know which one, Renee?
Gosh, are y'all trying to get me in trouble? I'm just trying to figure out, are y'all intentionally trying to get me in trouble
Well, did
here?
you say
She's
like I
in-
watched
Yes,
it,
we
or
are.
like how do you?
I know. She's in the one where Paul Walker ended up passing away. She was on set with him before he passed away. So it was not a good situation. She's talked about that. So that one.
Wow, you threw a real dead fish on our lap here,
dead
Renee.
person,
Like
too.
we were sitting here, we want to talk about the ego of Vin Diesel and The Rock. And you throw, first of all, I need to backtrack for a second because Jessica and Billy's behind a mask, and I saw his open mouth because of how delighted they were to learn that your fiance is in these movies. Joy swept through this room. Jessica, why did you react like that?
I mean, can she get us in one of the movies?
Yeah.
Can Billy get a cameo?
Listen, I mean, she's about to start getting back into entertainment, so maybe she went to school and ended up being like a journalism major, and she's into that type of stuff. So she kind of put entertainment to the side for her side. But yeah, I mean, let's get it popping. Let's hop back in there. What's up?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, there's a million journalists. There's only 9 Fast and Furious movies.
Facts. Look, she always is like this overachiever. She was like on a good trajectory, and then she just wanted to go to school and learn and be a journalist
Big
and learn
mistake.
all this stuff. And I'm like, what?
Overrated.
Overrated.
The
What
Rock,
did journalism school ever do for anyone?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I want to know whose side you're on here. I want to
Let's hear
know
it.
who you side with because these guys have substantive ego. And we were talking about, well, The Rock goes on the set and he's like, I'm a bigger star than you are. And Vin
Yeah.
Diesel's like, not here, you're not.
That's tough because I'm probably team The Rock just because for personal affiliations, I'm team The Rock. So I'm going to roll with The Rock. But the reason I say that is because in sports, we have this thing, it's called like a pecking order. If you're an 11-year vet, yes, that trumps your 9-year vet, but it's a particular thing because if somebody was drafted to a team and they were at that team for 9 years, then that's kind of their team, even if you come in as the 11-year vet. So in the sports analogy of it, because that's how the world works in sports terms to me, it's tough because if you are The Rock, you got to be respectful of somebody's set. Like we know Vin Diesel is Mr. Fast and Furious. He's the main character. But I just am of the respect your elders type of situation or respect your ranking. So even if, I'm on a team and a vet came to my team and they're like this mega superstar, I'm going to show some type of hospitality to them. That's just me personally. Like even if I was on the team for 9 years straight, they came in and they are the ultimate superstar, I just kind of like pay my respect. That's just what I do.
Yeah, but I feel like Dwayne's not paying respect to Vin Diesel here. Do you know The Rock, by the way? You said personal.
It sounded like you knew The Rock too.
I recently had to, Danny Garcia is the wife's the Rock's ex-wife, and they recently invited me out to like the premiere of the Washington Heights, and I couldn't come. So I do have affiliations with them. So Jessica,
wait a minute. What were you doing that day? The Rock invites you somewhere, you say no? What's going on? How are you so busy?
I already had something booked. I know. Listen, everybody in my camp was mad at me about it. We really wanted to go, but we couldn't move the schedule around. They only told me a week and a half before. And it was in LA, Hollywood. I guess, that's how it works in Hollywood, where they kind of give you a 2-week warning. But that's hard for me. 2-week warning is hard.
Let's backtrack for a second, because I don't think that maybe they do understand this story, but maybe they don't, because I believe that Renee Montgomery's world and life has sped up a lot in the last 3 years, I would imagine. If you don't know her story, okay, she was an all-star in the WNBA. The WNBA is increasing in ratings. It's getting more popular. It's hipper. And it was at the front of the movement that changed America. They got, that owner out because that team was so strong. Its players were so strong. And they changed Georgia and they changed the election. They just won a humanitarian award. And now she is a minority owner of that team after sitting out a year in embracing the change of America. So seriously, she doesn't have time for this shit. Like she is to have a half hour with her is a bit of a treasure, because the last 3 years, Renee, your life has been turned upside down, correct?
No, I mean, it's really accurate. It's and in all honesty, it's kind of crazy to me. Like my family, when we just went to WNBA All-Star, you guys got to remember, it was a pandemic for a year and a half. So during the pandemic, when we were all in the house, that's when, everything started to rise. The stock started to rise. So I went from when I was in the house, things were pretty normal. And now that things opened up, I get interesting invites from people that I wouldn't even know knew my name. Like, that's just how I'm being honest. Like when people invite me to some stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm still a little bit surprised. So I mean, in a good way though. And it's great. Our team just won the humanitarian of the team of the year award for ESPN. So that was pretty big for our organization. But to Will Smith's, my life got flipped and upside down. And I like to take a minute, just sit right there. That's really it's really happening over here in Atlanta. So it's exciting.
I've been trying to get her to do one of these post-game shows with us on when we've been doing with Haberstroh and and she loves basketball. So I want to talk to her about what Giannis just did, but she hasn't had time. You gotta get it in the calendar months in advance right now, because first of
all, Dan, you reach out to me like the day before or day of.
That's how we plan things around here.
Very realistic.
That's how we plan things around here. Get used to it.
That was notice around here, Renee. Like that, they couldn't believe we were doing 2 days of planning. It's my fault. I shouldn't be the one planning it. Yeah, I'm not. We're not. We haven't been planners historically.
Who's someone that you would break that schedule for, though? Like if Will Smith was like, "Hey, Renee, can you come out like on the yacht or something? Let's just chill. We were working really hard. We got to relax, all of us. Bring your fiance. Everyone will be there." Would you say like, you know what?
Issa Rae. I'd have to cancel some things. If Issa Rae says she's turning up somewhere and she wants me to come through, I'm going to have to really call my manager, Paul, and be like, you're going to hate me, but I am not available that day. Like, Issa Rae, I think I would break the schedules for some Issa Rae. Yeah. I think she's hilarious. And I think that we would be really good friends. So I think that we just need to meet and then we're going to hit it off. That's just my opinion. But Issa Rae, holla at me. If you need me for a project, holla at me, because I love her whole ethos of what she did with Insecure and Awkward Black Girl turning into Insecure, and how she set her own rules, set her own tone for a big network. I'm like, girl, you better. So Issa Rae. It's Issa Rae all the way.
I'm surprised Obama didn't make that list. I guess you met him already, huh?
Yeah, I met Obama, played some pig horse with Obama at the White House. So I did get to do that. I got Obama's ball, his campaign ball, because I just asked and he said fortune favors the bold, and he gave it to me for asking. So yeah, Obama is not on the list. Issa Rae. It's Issa Rae, guys. That's it.
Did you beat him in pig?
We didn't get to finish because he's Obama and we only got to like PI.
It's
and then
3
people were
letters.
Like, yeah.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah. President Obama gotta go. They didn't even want him to play in the first place. Let's be clear. He was like, yeah, y'all guys want to go play some pig? And we're like, yes. And his people like, no, we can't. And he's like, we'll just play a couple shots. And they're like, no, we can't. So we went and played just for a little bit.
You didn't bury him? You would have buried him in jumpers. He wouldn't have beat you.
You know what? I don't know where he finds the time, because I know we've all seen clips of where he randomly goes to a gym and he's left-handed. Let me switch it. Where he randomly goes to a gym and he's like shooting and making it. And we're like, what? Because he makes shots. I don't know. He finds time sometime, because there's no way he just goes to the court and he's netting like he is. So he's practicing on the low. I would like to say that, because we didn't beat him.
You were taking it easy on him though, right? Like you can't go to the White House and beat the president.
That would have been my claim to fame. I don't know what y'all are. I'm not that tight. I'm going to the White House trying to get that dub and then tell everyone that I beat him, but we didn't get to finish.
Renee, how often do you just go, because I don't think people understand what your skill level has to be to reach the professional level that you did. How often will you just go into a local gym pre-pandemic and just torch some dudes because you can?
I did it a couple times on celebrity games, but I don't really go to the local gyms because guys, they get in their feelings. So if you score on a guy at the YMCA, he's going to try to do the most, cross you up, block your shot, foul you to where they could accidentally hurt you because they're just doing too much. They be doing the most. Like guys can't handle that type of situation where they're at a random gym. They're not expecting a pro baller to come in. They can't handle it. You know, even sometimes our practice guys have gotten in trouble in the WNBA because they're like, all right, their ego comes into it. We're running our plays. We're running through. Somebody makes a shot in their face. Their ego, it gets really bruised. And so then they start to go hard. So tricky situation, you know, guys, it's a different world when a guy gets scored on a girl.
Renee, we can all agree that the worst guy at the gym is the guy that tries way too hard, undercuts you in fouls. You're on a fast break and he's undercutting your legs, fouling hard for no reason, diving. That's my one thing. I play in a lot of like adult rec leagues, and the guy that dives for the ball at my knees is the worst guy ever.
And that's the guy that no one needs to pick up. But that's also the same guy that has the most swag in the gym. He has the headband. He has the arm sleeve. He came Jordan out. He got the new J's, everything. That's that guy. And that's the guy that I always try to stay away from. But, you know, that's what I'm saying. That guy that you're talking about, and that guy is all guys when a woman's there. Like when a woman is in the building, every guy turns into that guy because they don't want to be the guy that got scored on. So, yeah, that's the worst.
I once unsurprisingly got torched by a University of Miami women's basketball player when I was at the gym, and every guy on the I knew because I covered the women's basketball team, but every other guy in the gym was getting mad. It was like proxy that anger towards me.
Because they thought that you were
I'm
doing it
picking
on
her up,
purpose?
and then she would torch them too.
What's her name? Do you remember her name?
Yeah, her name was Morgan Stroman. She played at the University
Shouts
of
to
Miami.
Morgan, man. Keep torching Morgan. Keep torching him.
It is so funny that our frail male egos would deny Renee the delight. How delightful would it not be for all of us to know that we're going to go into a gym, we're going to be underestimated, and we're going to clown every person in this building, and she's not allowed to do it because we will awkwardly hurt her with our injured pride and our elbows and our knees. We've denied you. Like, you want to go in there and do that? How fun would that be?
Oh, that would be great. I only shoot threes when I play against some little pickup games. It's threes only. You can't drive to the basket. Someone will try to tackle you, take you out at all costs. So it's even funner though that, you know, they guard you at the 3-point line. You take a step back. Now you're shooting from a step behind the 3-point line. They look at you like, shoot it. Yeah, I'll give it to you. So then you make the first one and they do the dare game where they want to dare you to make it again. And if you make it again, yeah, just like that. Yeah. Oh, she can't. It's fun. It's fun, Dan. I have fun with that.
We're terrible. Dudes
Men are the worst.
Terrible.
Men are the
like
worst.
Honestly.
Worst.
Honestly, what is the matter with us?
Renee can't go to the
No
go to
reason
the
for
cup.
them to exist.
It's
Because of men.
Fuck guys, am I right?
Oh, Jesus.
He said it, not me.
The worst.
Cut there, and then we'll cut there. Make that the joke at the end, and then we'll pick up the next. We got 11 minutes with her here.
Oh, great, guys.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Funny and
What up, Roy?
funny and true.
It's so I've seen it like literally 100 times. Even our practice guys sometimes like they forget that they're here to get scored on. It's interesting.
Do you believe that Giannis ate 50 minis after the game?
Yeah, my son eats 20 by himself and he's 13. So I like, yeah, I do. I think that like he should have remembered each bucket as he ate it. Oh, my first 2 points were this. My next 2 points, you know, when he gets to the 50, yeah, he should like give us a narration as he's eating the nuggets of the buckets he got during the game. So I would, if I scored a 50 piece nugget in a game clinching series winning game, I'm talking about it. Every nugget of it.
Let's talk about this for a second, because I don't believe people have properly appreciated what we just saw. And as a lover of basketball, right, Renee? Like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude being that good in that situation is one of those sports things that you should remember the rest of your life, because it's how you'll talk about Wilt 50 years after Wilt.
100%. And even when you think about it, I'd like to make a PSA. I don't feel so bad that the Atlanta Hawks lost to the champions. It's always better to lose to the champs. So that was the easier pill for me to swallow. But I'd also like to apologize to the Bucks. I thought that there was no way in the world that the Milwaukee Bucks would beat the Phoenix Suns with a Chris Paul-led team. So I said it out loud, and I had to admit out loud that I was wrong. I didn't see it happening. And having said that, Giannis, I mean, again, he said it a lot, and he talked about it in his media interviews. He was letting people know, all right, I didn't want to do it the super team way. So we have to give him all the flowers that he took a team in a small market that nobody really goes to in free agency. He didn't even get very many recruits from his superstar friends to come through, and he just won a championship. I don't care that this was the year people got hurt. We don't play those asterisk games. Like, Giannis did something that if you just really go back and look at it, with his skill set, you know, a lot of people thought that he couldn't win with the skill set that he has. He can't shoot from the outside. I mean, he just showed us even though he's nice in his likability, he's a dog. And I mean that in a good way. Like, Giannis is a dog, and he showed it to everyone.
To Billy's question, though, Renee, I don't think he understands the athlete's body, the coal that furnace requires, and how ridiculously fit Giannis has to be to do what he did in that game on both sides of the court, so that actually 50 nuggets wouldn't be something other than him like popping M&Ms because he needs to feed the furnace. And I don't think you can explain to people what playing at that level for 46 minutes that in a way that we'd ever understand. Yeah,
listen, not just that, but everybody has to remember in the Atlanta Hawks series, his knee bent 15 degrees the wrong way. Like it bent the wrong way. We all saw it. Even when they said that he was gonna be back, everyone was like, what will he look like though? Clearly he's not gonna be that good. So for him to come from that series to where it was questionable if he was even gonna play, and then to play 46 minutes at the highest level, they were calling them McNuggets. He said he was gonna get a 50-piece McNugget at Chick-fil-A. So people should tell Giannis that the McNuggets are at McDonald's, but yes, he deserves to get every single one of those. I love that the fans came out there because Giannis is a once-in-a-lifetime generational talent. Like, he's that type of talent. I don't know, we don't recognize it as such because he's not flashy, the razzle-dazzle like Steph Curry, but he's that dude. He's that dude for real.
Renee, you said, you know that Chris Whittingham said that he's a 2?
He's a 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like a 2 guard?
No. I said he was a 2, like he couldn't be the best player on your team and you win a championship.
I mean, but there's truth to that. He's even said it. Like, I mean, he's even acknowledged that, yeah, Chris Middleton down the stretch, when Chris Middleton has scored 10 points in a row in the fourth quarter and different things. Yeah, every Batman needs a Robin, and maybe Giannis and Chris switch outfits throughout the game. I think that's what it is. Like, you be Batman now, I'll be Robin. Like, it's kind of like they got this little thing going on. But yeah, Giannis is not your typical Kobe Bryant star type where he's going to get the shot at the end of the game no matter what. That's not Giannis's thing.
I actually think it was in him trying, like he tried to get there, right? Jason Kidd turned him into a point guard and he became the ball handler and everyone was asking for him to shoot. And in some ways it was him reverting to an old skill set where he's just going and over and over again. And Phoenix could only throw Kaminsky at him or Jay. Like they had no answer. He just discovered if I just keep going and going and going at the rim, that they're not going to be able to stop me for 4 quarters.
But I mean, and to that point, DeAndre Ayton, we all saw it throughout the games. Monty Williams was giving him pep talks. The team was giving him pep talks. Doesn't anybody realize that Milwaukee watches game film too? So they probably went back, was watching everybody try to pep up and cheer up DeAndre Ayton. And they were probably in the locker room like, Giannis, go at his head. Look at this guy. He doesn't want any parts of it. So I think that DeAndre Ayton's struggles kind of fueled Giannis because he was Euroing, spinning around him. I mean, it was like a highlight reel for Giannis. But to that point, they saw something that they could exploit, and they did it the whole game after that.
Oh, Renee, I want to play something for you of us being loud wrong in a variety of different ways about this series. The Parade of Gas Bags is very popular around here, and this is just sound from us analyzing the game. But before I do that, I do believe that what I was watching there, and I do so little of this, saying what an athlete's thinking or feeling, but because of what you're talking about with the Ayton pep talks, what I thought to myself while I was watching that is DeAndre Ayton is by any reasonable measurement more athletic than anyone in the world, any other human being. And he does not have the skill set this other person has who can do all the things he does and this on offense. And so it's just fouls, and Ayton's used to being the best. He's a first-round pick, and he's coming up, and he's telling us that's the best draft ever. And Giannis just showed him, no, I'm bigger, stronger, faster everywhere. And it's emasculating. You're just talking about, Renee, guys at the gym. It's emasculating what it is that Giannis did to DeAndre Ayton, who doesn't get emasculated by anybody.
Oh, are you playing the clip?
No, I'm just asking your opinion on if you saw that.
I mean, I saw a young player, DeAndre Ayton. I could see that he's young. I've been around those young teammates that when you look in their eyes, it's like they call it a deer in headlights almost, to where it's like, this is a big moment. He's young, and maybe he's not saying he's not ready for the moment, but you could tell that was a big moment for him, and he was frustrated. His emotions were spilling out all over the place. And Giannis, said, oh yeah, I saw barbecue chicken. Giannis saw barbecue chicken and was like, I'm going at him every time. Giannis was blocking shots. Giannis was everything that DeAndre Ayton needed to be in that series for Phoenix. So it was a tell of two different. It was like a man playing against a young player, because you could just see it.
Let's play the Parade of Gas Bags here. Amin's going to lead it off, right? This should be fun. This is always a delight to recap the year with a bunch of sound where we got it wrong.
Cortez, you honestly think that they're as good as the top 3 teams? The Sixers.
I think they're better than the top 3 teams.
That's Sixers, right. Bucks, and Nets. Come on, Cortez.
You think I'm afraid of the Bucks?
They're better than they were last year. Are the Heat better than they were last year?
The Bucks are not better than they were last year.
Have you been watching the NBA this year?
I have. No, that's not true. See, you guys are going to do this again. The Bucks are just as good as they were last year.
Oh, so now they're just as good. Okay, so we've already talked you down. You want to take a look at the standings? Go.
I don't care about the standings.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the team that they have out there and the players that they've got, that they've improved.
They're worse.
They're not winning as much. They don't have the same point differential. They were having one of the best regular seasons ever last year until they weren't.
It's kind of turned out in these playoffs, Giannis is probably the NBA's best number 2.
Oh.
Because I think it's kind of been determined that he can't be your 1.
Oh.
Like in terms of his specific skill set and the areas of the game in which he struggles, you can't rely upon him to get baskets at the end.
Oh, little culture chatter here, guys. The Miami Heat tonight, big bounce back win. Book it.
I will not accept as an answer from the group that the difference between what I saw between Heat and Bucks last year and what I saw this year is Drew Holiday. Get out of here.
Holiday and Middleton are just inconsistent. They're just too inconsistent. It drives you crazy sometimes.
You know who they are. The hardest working, best conditioned, most professional, unselfish, toughest, meanest, nastiest, most disliked team in the NBA.
Milwaukee doesn't look like itself against the Heat defense.
It seems like such a dilution of the product for me. It feels like an NBA 2K finals after a league simulation, as opposed to what really happens in the sport.
Obviously, in the case of Giannis, we know he wants to. He's playing at the highest stakes possible right now, but I just don't think he has the reaction time because he's not moving as well. Defensively, he can't keep anybody in front of him. His closeouts are very tentative and kind of he's moving gingerly. And then when the player attacks, it's done.
The Bucks are done. The thing about this series is Drew Holiday, the reason why they paid 4 first-round picks in the offseason to get Drew Holiday was that he would be a stopper in the playoffs. And he's not doing that.
I think an injury that the Bucks suffered is actually showing its ugly head here in the finals, and that's Dante DiVincenzo, I mean.
I'm beginning to question everything I've thought about the Milwaukee Bucks. The level of basketball that they've done, dare I say it, this is one of the worst teams in finals history.
You're playing a dangerous game, though, changing your mind in the middle of a series, which allows you to be wrong a number of different times and ways.
To be honest with you, Dan, I have zero confidence the Bucks can win a game.
Really?
A game.
Oh, my God.
Yikes! Yikes!
Book it.